everybody, and welcome to ATL Falcons UK podcast. It is episode 97, Run It Backs, very aptly named by Liam for tonight's show. Tonight, Liam and Mark will be joining me, and we will be talking all things being top of the NFC South, all things winning 3 divisional games on the bounce, and then preview the upcoming game against the Seahawks. Boys, how are we feeling on Victory Monday? Go on, Mark.
Yeah, good. I went to bed at halftime last night because I was like, nah, this is going to be another heart-wrenching experience, and I think that would have been quite a really, really damning light on actually what's been 3 really well contested divisional games. I think it was really, really imperative last night that we put up some points and showed that we can comfortably defeat lesser opponents. Because I think last night was a real banana skin, or potential banana skin, should I say? So it was good to wake up this morning and to kind of see that second half result. Defense that seemingly were still asleep in the first half of the second game. We obviously made the adjustments where they mattered. I would really like to have a first half performance where we don't have to make adjustments. But on the whole, reviewing the film from last night, this morning, loving some of what I've seen. Flowers to the O-line. Some of the blocking yesterday was, I think, what we've been waiting to see throughout the first 5 games. So again, some progress there. Realized against the Panthers, but that's the kind of stuff we want to see. We want to make sure that we're not just a pass-heavy offense or a run-heavy offense. We want a balanced one. So yeah, another step in the right direction. So yeah, you can't say fair on that. 3-0 in the division.
Exactly that, Liam.
Yeah, similar views. I think we a lot of people obviously anticipated that we'd just roll over the Panthers, which I can see why you would, most teams would sort of think that. But when it comes to being a divisional game, it's a different story, isn't it? Really, like regardless of who you're actually playing against, they're going to get themselves up for that game and just play a little bit harder than they probably would in a non-divisional game. That's just the way it's going to be. And we're away from home. From what I saw, the Panthers fans are still coming out in force. It was a well-packed stadium. They were up for it. So we were never gonna just roll over. Like, it just wasn't going to happen. So we just had to grind it out for as long as we could. There was a lot of back and forth, and we just had to make adjustments to what they were doing well, because they have some things that they're starting to get better at, the Panthers. Say with the run game with Chuba Hubbard sort of like gone the last 3 weeks in particular, has gone up a massive level for them, and they showed that again last night. But we made enough adjustments to level it off a little bit, and then obviously sort of forced Dalton to pass the ball. And we said, didn't we, when he had that miracle sort of week in his first week, that he is very much hit or miss. Like, you're either going to get absolute firing it everywhere to our interceptions, or you're going to get an awesome performance. And he was more towards the bad end for this time. I think he wasn't bad by any. He wasn't awful.
No.
He threw some wild ones, but we forced them into that by sort of taking away the run game a little bit when we could. They haven't got many weapons, but obviously Deontay Johnson, I forget his first name. He's been a good player for them the last couple of weeks, and he was getting the ball, but we sort of realised that, adjusted to that a little bit, and eventually it kind of wore them down where they ran out of, obviously the teams that have got the great rosters, you've got the next option to go to. The Panthers haven't got that. So we squeezed them out of their options really until we were just dominant in that second half.
Without a doubt. We have got Christy joining us again for about the 5th week on the bounce. I think it might even be every game this season. So thank you for joining us again. That's delightful.
You mean more than Cal?
He actually has got more appearances than Cal. That's why I that. I love that. Good stuff. All right, so let's get some stats on the go. First time since 2019 that we've won 3 games on the bounce. Horrendous.
Wow.
4-2 for the first time since 2016, which we won't delve into too much, but everybody knows what happened that year, or where we got to that year. Let's frame it positively. So expectations are slowly increasing. Positivity is slowly increasing, even on the socials, and that is hard to come by in this day and age. There was 2 men last night on the field. There was a lot of men last night on the field that were exceptional, but there was 2 men last night on the field, and seeing as the show is titled after them, we will break it down with them first. So you had Bijan and Tyler with 18 and 15 carries retrospectively, 95 yards, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns for Bijan and 1 for Tyler. What worked last night, Mark?
Well, I don't want to sound like a broken record because I want to talk about them some more, but the O-line worked. There was a lot of things that I seen today that opened the game up for both of them in different ways, right? I kind of feel like those outside zone runs that maybe when we consider, that 4th and 1 call back in the Chiefs, like the kind of blocking that we seen last night was the kind of blocking we needed then. Right. And I guess, for me, what we're starting to see a little bit, and I seen it a few times last night, was just that they're starting to vary the run plays in the system. Right. And I don't know why we didn't open this up sooner. Maybe it was that the O-line was a little bit banged up or whatever. But for me, it just seemed the run game as a whole just seemed more in sync last night. And I think what you seen from my perspective was us utilizing both of their skill sets in the right way. So you were seeing Tyler run up the middle. That the 2-point conversion absolutely spoke to that. There shouldn't be many 2-point conversions that we miss because we've got him in the arsenal, right? And then you've seen Bijan do exactly what he does, which is getting through those really, really thin gaps, accelerating with real velocity. And for me, it was just the kind of it embodied what I envisioned the run game was going to be. Again, I'll try not to say this caveat too many times throughout the episode, but I realize that's right. But again, I think the thing for me, what worked is that they just played to their strengths. And the big thing that stood out, and I mentioned this about the wide receivers last week, and I'm going to give them both their props today. They were taking tackles and keeping going. They were getting that extra couple of yards. There was one play where Tyler went out towards the outside and he just would not go down, kept pushing, allowed the O-line to catch up. That you then got, 5, 6, 250-pound plus guys pushing you to get that extra sort of 4, 5 yards in that case, I think it was. And it was wonderful to see, and I think after the Arthur Smith years of just relying solely on power backs and, just trying to grind out games. And I think, if there's anybody watching who's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I think they'll attest to Arthur Smith's offense is awful to watch, right? So it just felt like a more in sync and attractive run game last night, and that started from the trenches, and those two just played their parts to their strengths just impeccably.
Anything to add on that, Liam? Even though he summarised it to a.
No, I mean we've just got that balance obviously there with the 2 different styles of runners, with 2 different skill sets, and we can, when used, we've been saying it obviously, haven't we, all season, when used together, almost towards the 50-50. And I know people say, obviously Bijan should be like getting 70% of the snaps, whatever, because he's Gary picked higher. Maybe on a pure talent level, you'd say that, but it just doesn't always work like that. And you need, more bell cow physical runner to wear down defenses, and Tyler Algier is better at that because he's just harder to tackle. And Mark will know what like people, when you've been tackling or like using your arms for play after play against such big units all day, your arms just start to feel like they want to drop off, and that's what Tyler Algier will make defenses feel like. Tackling that man all day must not be fun. And then when you're starting to wear down defenses, you start looking at somebody like Bijan in front of you, who's just got to try and go around you every more often than he goes through you, but you just don't have you sap the energy out of defenders with power backs and work around them with these speedy backs, and we've just got a great balance. I mean, I'm not going to compare them directly because the different players, different quality, but we did have, like with Freeman and Coleman in the past, where Freeman he was probably a bit more, it wasn't quite like a Algier, he wasn't that beefy and powerful, but he was a bit more of a physical runner, and then Coleman was a one that could be used in the pass game and a speedy guy. We've seen a better version of that almost like now. It's starting to develop into that. We how many Mark will sort of remember how many like different taglines and things do we have for those two at the time, like two-headed monster and pick your poison. They were just constantly, we had so many of them that the team was just firing out for them two running backs.
Yeah,
I feel like we're heading to another series of taglines, which is a great thing to have.
Thunder and Lightning is pretty cool.
Thunder and Lightning, yeah. That one. I feel like it's a massively useful thing to have in your arsenal, is two running backs that can be effective.
Yeah, and we've seen it over the years with different teams, right? And I think is one thing that's kind of come to the forefront of conversation a lot of the time when we talk about running backs, and how running backs, they've got a certain shelf life because they get to a certain age and then all of a sudden they're useless, right? And it's kind of like, well, yeah, but when you consider that actually what teams were doing a lot of the time with players like Saquon Barkley, with players like name escapes me, the guy who came to us from the Rams was a Georgia Bulldog.
Gurley.
Todd Gurley, right? Yeah. What teams did was they used this central running back and ran them into the floor, right? Yeah. And I think Saquon's probably the only one who's kind of changed his game to still be kind of that a real sort of dual threat running back still, because but again,
lost him, Liam.
Lost him.
Oh. We got as far as again.
Oh, sorry. The where was it? Oh yeah. So but Barkley had loads of those injuries before he before he had to kind of reinvent himself, right? And it really speaks to, you need a 2-punch combination. I beg you, find me a better 2-punch running back room in the NFL, better than the two we have.
At the moment in time, I genuinely don't think there's a direct comparison. I genuinely don't, and that's no bias to it whatsoever. I think we just complement.
So this is where you want to focus the offense, right? We have a little bit of a thin wide receiver room, right? We admit that, right? But actually, our passing game has been fantastically strong, especially over the past sort of 2-3 games. If you can get that run game going more consistently, and you can keep a defense guessing of whether it's going to be thunder or lightning, and Liam made a fantastic point, right? When you're tackling, you're trying to hold on to people and, put all your strength into trying to bring a player like Algier down for, a couple of plays. And then all of a sudden, you've got to think about playing really, really differently when you see Bijan in that backfield. Your body is so strained from trying to hold on to somebody like Algier that then it comes to, now I've got to chase this little guy. Do you know what I mean?
God.
Like it's just I was really close to saying about it, but I didn't. And I just think if the challenge now is get that running game going against better teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What we'll go back to it because it was always going to be my next point anyway, and you touched on it at the start. So what supported the running game was, of course, the O-line, with some special shout outs to players that you might not have anticipated earlier in the season. Mark, I know away from the show you were raving about a couple of players, so I will let you dip into that one as well.
Yeah, I just again, the blocking yesterday, some of it, and you guys know that the trenches hold a very, very special place in my heart, right? And some of that blocking yesterday was superb. It was absolutely on the money. If we were pushing players out to the outside zones, I've seen some fantastic blocking. Jake Matthews and Charlie Warner, who obviously came to us blocking tight end from the 49ers. Everyone was like, huh? Like, why? Like, almost kind of, blocking tight end. Is that not more like an Arthur Smith kind of? No, every team's got blocking tight end. And that kid, although he's a unit, but he's not a hugely kind of what you'd probably physically class as a blocking tight end.
Yeah.
Again, superb yesterday, and really and this is why I was so excited about when I was watching it, because if you watch every time we push that ball outside, especially for Bijan's 2 touchdowns, the blocking was aggressive. We were taking people to the floor. The guys were committing to the tackles, and it was it was great. It was great, and I think Warner's kind of one of these players.
It's gone again.
What is he? One of these players?
Audio listeners, we are very sorry.
Yeah.
Warner is one of these kinds of players. Is where we got to, Mark.
You guys are coming through fine for me. I don't understand what's going on. Warner's one of these players. He's gone under the radar throughout the season because the running game hasn't been too strong, right? But here is where I think we're gonna see his worth and value. So long may it continue.
I think he's because like you say, he's not massive, but what he makes up for is he's got a bit of speed about him. He's almost got like a little bit of a possession tight end frame, but with blocking hands. And more than half of sort of like blocking is your position, and you're getting in the right position at the right time and having the right angle to make the block. And his sort of athleticism is getting him, to an angle where he can make an effective block, and he doesn't have to be the biggest and strongest guy. If he's just in the way for long enough for Bijan, for example, to get round, which does not take long, he that's what he's been doing. He's getting to the right channel and the right lane and just blocking it for as long as. And that's what the receivers are starting to do as well. Now receivers are known for obviously being asked to block, but not necessarily having massive blocking skills. But their goal is to push somebody back for as long as they possibly can, or just block away for 1 second. Just do enough to make the break, and that's what we were doing. So much of blocking, just people think like it's often just guys go out there and look for sort of somebody to block, which is not the case. Obviously, you send somebody out particularly to block a certain channel and a certain lane that a running back's his first aim is to hit that lane. Obviously, make adjustments if he needs to, but it's just it's so hard to coordinate. So sort of trying to get across that an effective blocking scheme, especially when you're blocking upfield, is so hard to actually coordinate to generate consistent lanes for a running back.
Well,
it's amazing.
So there's a I mean, I don't know if it was just my coaches, right? But there was something that got drilled into us when we were playing. And if you don't have a guy coming onto you, or you're trying to run a specific play, and there's no one on you, you go find work.
Yeah, you go find something.
And it's I kind of liken it to one of the best things about yesterday that I seen was those runs were always kind of like sort of 5 to 8 yards off the line of scrimmage, right? How many times, boys, have we seen us do all the hard yards all the way up to the red zone, get within 5 yards, and just it's another field goal, right? But actually, what we addressed yesterday was there's a way in here, and that's it. That's exactly what for me, 80% of the time we're within the 5 yard line. Just run the ball. We've got the personnel, and we've got one of the best running O-lines in the league. So
that's what we built it for. We built that O-line based on a run game, didn't we? It always has been. It was
I don't know who it was, but Algiers touchdown, and this was another quite sort of reminiscent moment. But one of the things that you have to understand when you're an O-lineman is if you are in the way of a running back's lane, that running back is going to go through you. And I've been ran through a couple of times, and it hurts, right? But and I think it was Bergeron. I'm not sure. It was either Bergeron on news or maybe. And when Algier went in, and he kind of sort of punched in for those last couple of steps, whoever the O-lineman was who was blocking just got absolutely taken. And you see the guy just face first just hit the floor, and it was it was one of the moments where you just go, wow, the running back's probably potentially stronger than a left guard here. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's it sets us up for success so much more if we can start doing that more consistently.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah. Just to come off the back of your points about blocking a little bit, there was numerous occasions during the game yesterday where Cousins was calling over London and Pitts on that right-hand side, visibly saying, why have you not got a man? Why have you not got a man? Because they were too far out. And it's just little in-game changes like that I think that wouldn't have happened under Ridder and Mariota, and maybe not Mariota quite as much because he was experienced, but maybe just not caliber-wise. But
it wouldn't have happened under Mariota.
No, he wouldn't have.
Yeah.
But he's not a play caller.
All right, I was just trying to be nice to people. I was trying to be neutral.
No. We are long past on this podcast being nice to Marcus Mariota.
Yeah. There we go. Okay. I won't say any word. So my point was going to be, it's just good to have someone that's got the presence of a real
game manager
one on the field again. Yeah, someone that's managing without having to rely on the coaches, without relying on a mic, without Ridder, as respectfully as possible, probably not knowing what was going on all too much, and definitely not having the respect or authority at that stage in his career to even call stuff like that, because you'll have more experienced players saying, I think we should be doing this, that, and the other. So I think Cousins alone has cemented us.
Oh, massively so. And I think the O-line realised, how good he is when he gets proper protection. We look good in pass pro yesterday. Yeah. And Liam, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but watching he is looking more and more comfortable in that sort of play action. And I think you mentioned it a couple of weeks ago on just he almost sees the field better when he makes that sort of where he drops back and then on the turn.
Yeah, it's like a focus thing for him, I think, where he does that loop, and then he's hyper focused for a couple of seconds after he's made that play action loop, and then he just sees the field and goes and passes it so well, rather than giving him more time to overthink it. Almost, he's just one of the best in the league at doing that. And he's got. When they talk about quarterbacks, especially experienced quarterbacks, you hear Aaron Rodgers is physically slowing down now in terms of the way that he plays the game, obviously. Yeah. But he's always been one of the best at changing the things at the line of scrimmage. Everyone laughs at him for how much he talks to every single player, because he goes around every single player pre-play and says something. But because he's just so good at just reading that situation, and obviously Kirk Cousins can do it, and that's what a massive part. Well, it's probably bigger than the passing. When you watch I was watching the Commanders game yesterday, and they were talking about Jaden Daniels when Tony Romo was on the commentary. He was raving about Jaden Daniels, but what he wasn't raving about is his ability to pass the ball or to sort of like run the ball. Like most quarterbacks that come in the league, sort of that high picks can pass the ball with accuracy or whatever. What he was raving about is that he's a rookie who can stand at the line of scrimmage and change the play and spot the defense and, you know, move people with his eyes, draw safeties over. It's all that sort of stuff that obviously Cousins can do so well that, you know, players like Ridder had a great arm and had some accuracy issues. He could run, like, you know, he could physically, we always said that at the time, he could physically play the game.
Yeah.
But he couldn't read the game of football. He was a college quarterback in an NFL world. He could make one read, and if it wasn't there, he panicked. And that's the level of difference. He could probably make any pass that Cousins could make, not with the same accuracy, but obviously physically he could make any pass.
Yeah.
But he couldn't read a defense anywhere near the level of what we've got now as a signal call with Kirk Cousins. And obviously he can also still deliver the passes, even at his sort of age as well.
I think it's worth saying at this point, because I know for a fact we're going to have to move on to defense in a second, right? And I'm taking a run up at this, but I think it is worth pointing out that it was only a few games ago that everyone was like, Zach Robinson's a bust, like this ain't working, like first time, like that rhetoric has quietened down somewhat, and I think we all kind of sat in here, guys, chill, like, first, it's his first play calling job. I mean that has changed. I've never really seen a change happen so unbelievably quickly. Like we ground out the win against Philly, and then it was like from there. I mean, and I'm really praying that it's not just the rest of the NFC South are awful. But I mean, we have seen we've seen this offense really evolve in every kind of offensive statistic over these past 3 games. And actually, and they're getting everybody involved. Like, everybody had their fair share of yards again this week.
Yeah,
I just think it's worth mentioning. There was a lot of people wanting.
I think what we said the first week, or the criticism of him the first week, was not necessarily his scheming, his plan. It was his lack of, he didn't move away from it when it didn't work.
It was predictable.
What we were saying. Yeah, he didn't adjust to anything that the Steelers were doing. He just stuck with what he was trying to do, and it just didn't work. And he carried on doing it. Ever since that week, it's almost like Raheem or somebody sat him down and gone, if you need to adjust, like give him more freedom of something. Because ever since that week, we've seen multiple games now, probably every game, we've had to make some adjustments because something's not quite working perfectly. And we come out and we do something different, and it's not worked a couple of times when we tried certain things, but a lot of the time it's starting to work now. Even the Panthers was another one. Those things on the offense side of the ball just weren't quite working. But we got better and better at every element of it as the game went on. He had made adjustments against he looked at the defense, went, this is what I need to do, this is what I need to do. And he's starting to expose them. And that's just the thing that we're lacking. And a huge part of NFL football in particular is in-game adjustments and moving things around. It's a game of chess ultimately at the end of the day for the coaches. And they're trying to get ahead of the defense, and defense trying to adjust what the offense is doing. And whoever wins that battle tends to win the game, because most teams, it's not like college where sometimes you've got a massive program with pure talent against some minnows who just got out of the bed 10 minutes before, which we don't consider can happen in college football. And every NFL team stacked with professional talent, even like the Panthers who are down there, they're still a solid team on paper when you look at like the actual players and experience they've got. They're not awful by any standard. They're very coached and coachable, and every coach is just trying to use his pieces and scheme to outplay the other, and we're starting to see us do that with our coaching more than we've seen in the past. With Arthur Smith's run up the middle for 20 for every minute of the game.
Did we do that under? I have no idea what you're talking about.
I can't even remember the guy. Who was the other guy? Dirk Cotter. Oh, jeez. It was worse.
Oh dear. Just
I just don't want to think about those times.
I was going to say, let's stay positive. Let's not lean back that way. We need to focus forward now. God.
Let's talk about the defense, Danny.
I was gonna jump into the comments, and then we've got one that takes us straight to the defense. Cal has made an appearance of some sorts. Easy work, this NFC South stuff, he says in the comments. Sat at work on a night shift, so that's hope his manager's not watching again. We've got Matt back in 4-2. Time to pack up though.
I'm
Don't know if that's in reference to us.
Yeah. I presume it doesn't mean we're just fold as the club now. Yeah.
Just back up.
Stop the count.
Yeah. Christy with a very, very good point. Only 4 more wins and we break the 7-win season curse, which has been 6 years running. Oof. As a lot of you will know, I've still yet to see a positive season with the Falcons. This is season 6, I think. And I've not seen a winning season yet. So you're welcome, guys. It's probably my fault. It's some messed up world.
I mean, it's been that long for me and Liam as well.
Yeah, no, yeah, it has. But you've probably had moments of joy before that, no? I always forget when everyone
there has been
to suffer this life.
there's been a few.
there's been
literally genuinely a few. Yeah. Most of it's pain. Yeah.
Right. We will, as everybody said, jump onto the defense. Sorry. Jump onto the defense.
This is a family show.
And then we will move on to the Seahawks game, and we will use this comment below as a little segue. So we are probably short of pass rush still.
Yeah.
Are we? Or are we short of pass rush scheme?
Touche, valid point, and I will use that as a debating point. So, Liam, you lead us first then, because that was a very nice counterpoint.
I mean, I would say that yes, obviously, we could go out and get a pass rusher, and there's obviously better ones out there than maybe what we've got. It's fine, but there's not that many that are premier pass rushers in the league in general. Like, there's just not that many guys out there. There's probably like 6 or 7 that you can think of high level. You've got a sort of order of mid tier guys, and that, well, and we've got one of those I describe as mid high tier guys in Judon. Like, he's proven himself over the years as being one of those not elite but very serviceable, very useful guys. And we've got Grady Jarrett, who's a wrecking ball and can get to the quarterback because he's quick, he's sharp. That's a pretty decent duo.
Yeah.
Across the league in terms of personnel. Like, there's better ones out there, but we're not. That isn't bad. There's a lot worse too. But they're not effective, which to me says, yeah, we're effective in some ways. Like, Grady Jarrett is causing issues. Yeah. He's doing things, but we're not. He's not opening up lanes for Judon. He's not getting them himself. Judon's not getting them himself. Is it a case of that we're just not scheming it up right? We've faced a couple of quarterbacks who are mobile and a couple of quarterbacks who get the ball out quickly, which obviously does diminish the amount of sacks you can get. Like, Baker Mayfield tends to hold the ball he tends to get rid of the ball quite quickly. He does take a lot of sacks sometimes, but like we have Derek Carr, he does the same, gets the ball out quite quickly as well. But we're not really getting there. I'm not seeing enough consistency of threatening the quarterback, and a lot of the plays last night were because that Dalton just had that time, and any quarterback, but certainly somebody experienced with Dalton's got to find passes when he's got time. And I don't know what it is, but it seems to be a bit of a curse with the team in general that we just cannot generate pressure on a quarterback, and especially sacks. No. But I just don't feel like personnel wise, unless we get when I got an absolute beast, which we're just not going to get, because they carry an incredible amount of value, and you just don't go out and get one unless there's a real wild decision going on. I just don't know how much difference it would make. Say we swapped out Judon for another very good pass rusher, would it make much of a difference? I don't think it would, under the way that we're currently playing. And the defense was just a bit messy in general, secondary as well. Maybe just that we've got talent, massive amounts of talent, certainly in that secondary, like the best safety duo in the league. Terrell's still obviously a very good player. Linebackers are playing very well, but it's still a lot of disjointed stuff going on back there, and the pass rush isn't helping out. It's a little bit concerning, but also room for improvement on a team that's already doing pretty well. If we can improve that area.
So I said this during the week. I think it was a real shame that we haven't had a chance to see Matthew Judon and Braylon Trice in the same team.
Yeah.
Braylon Trice, friend of the show.
Coming soon.
For those who didn't know, I've been in Braylon Trice's DMs, but he's not going to get back to me anymore, I don't think. I'm just going to put this out there, right? So when we were talking about, and by the way, I just want to start by saying, fully agree with Liam. I don't think we're sending enough pressure consistently.
Yeah.
So I don't know what going out and seen some pressure yesterday. And I think some of it did result in the Carolina Panthers Red Rocket being a little bit more erratic with his throws, right? But it wasn't consistent, right? So then the question begs, if this is the kind of defense we're going to play all year, it is concerning. I want to see more pass rush. I want to see us level more QBs, right?
Yeah.
But then again, it's at what cost, right? If there's two things that stick in my mind right now. One, who'd you go and get, right? Like who's really sticking out right now, right? And I thought it would be a good idea to go and have a look at some of those guys that were kind of in the discussion last year,
Okay.
right? So Danielle Hunter, 16 and a half sacks last year.
Yeah.
2.5 so far. 1.5 of those came against Chicago.
Fair enough.
Let's carry on this. No, stay with me, boys. Stay with me.
I'll stay with you. I've got a counterpoint.
So then Brian Burns from the Panthers went to the Giants. Has recorded 3 sacks this year. 2 of those were against Cincinnati's awful O-line and Cleveland, arguably one of the worst teams in the entire league. So that's Brian Burns. Please do carry on this journey with me. So Montez Sweat was on the Commanders, went to the Bears. 2.5 sacks this year, gentlemen. Half a sack against Jacksonville. Managed 1 against the Rams and 1 against Indianapolis.
Yeah.
I believe that game against Indianapolis was against 84-year-old Joe Flacco. We will Chase Young was also another chap mentioned, 1.5 sacks this year. So my point around that little diatribe was last year we had pass rushers that everyone was like, we need to go get this guy's been.
Yeah.
Oh, all of a sudden these guys are again not lighting the NFL on fire, right? So I think you can go out, you can go after a Hassan Reddick, right? Who you could kind of argue, is that really the kind of personality you want in the building? Not sure, but he would probably be the only one that would stick out for me. That would be a trade candidate. Does he suddenly make this team instantly better in this scheme? I don't think so.
No.
It's a fair point. Sorry, just a brief counterpoint. We went into game week 6 with 5 sacks between every player, and we come out of game week 6 still with 5 sacks between every single player. So even though some of those statistics are low comparatively to what you'd expect of those players, we are still well
4 and 2 top of the division.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm not debating. I'm not debating that. I'm not debating that. I was just trying to counterpoint it, saying some of those people are on much lower sacks than they should be, or arguably could be.
I agree.
At this point
I agree.
I do have
everyone we
another,
have. So
I do have another counterpoint to it that is basically just a theory. I have no actual backing for this.
okay.
But I think, did you mention one of them play for the Saints, didn't they? I think.
Cheers.
Yeah. The other three guys that you mentioned in that group, the teams that they play for are all in the top 10 of sacks. 2 of them in the top 5, as in team sacks. So do you think they're opening it up for other guys because of the amount of attention that they take?
Right. So I mentioned one. Danielle Hunter's on Texans.
Yes, they're in the top 5 for team sacks.
Right. And I
New York
imagine,
Giants are number at the top.
I imagine because of Dexter Lawrence, the Giants
And Will Anderson.
In there.
Oh, and Thibodeau.
Right. So
which
the Giants are up there.
Giants are top.
And where are the Giants in their division?
I don't know, but they suck on a different area of the ball, don't they? But it's not obviously sacks, they're not the whole game, but that it's just weird. All the teams have got top players, and are they opening up other lanes for other guys? That's what I'm saying. Are they?
Possibly.
Is one helping another? Is one helping another guy get all the sacks? I don't know.
Well, I mean, listen. I'm just showing that there was a lot of clamour last year for certain guys, and those certain guys are not the guys they were last year, which is more to my point. Why I go, well, if you go out and get Hassan Reddick, does he change this team for the next 4 years?
Well, no, I think not him in particular. No, I don't think so. Does Reddick unlock Judon? That would be my question. Do you know what I mean? Like, would another guy help the other guy? If that makes sense.
For sure. But is there another guy that's worth trading for that you think's available right now?
I don't think so.
I think the only thing that, and maybe this is a pipe dream, right? Well, of course it's a pipe dream. What am I talking about? Go and throw the bag at Dallas.
What, for Parsons? Christ.
I think pipe dream was probably the right phrase. I don't know what we've got in the tank, but I like the concept.
Yeah, they haven't paid him. Did anybody else see the Dallas result last night?
Yeah, unfortunately for them, I did see it. I think the rest of the nation saw it as well.
Listen, all I'm saying is, if you're gonna go out there to try and improve it in today's NFL, I mean, guys, remember a certain name called Dallas Turner?
Yeah, he's been good.
He's got 1 sack.
Yeah, he's done all right.
I'm not saying he hasn't been good, but
he wouldn't have made a massive difference.
But it's precisely my point, right? So I just think you can see guys with numbers and go, right, okay, great. But I guess on the flip side of it, Liam, right? Nobody was saying last year, Danielle Hunter, 16.5 sacks. Nobody was saying, oh, well, it's because he's just been unlocked by the rest of the defensive line. So I think it's a really, really fluid position. I think it's really hard position to go. Who do we go and get that really changes that? And I think going back to your original point that you started with is that we don't really have. We're not scheming it. We're not scheming the pressure. And are we not scheming it because we don't trust Lorenzo Gardner and Arnold Ebiketie? Possibly. Yeah. But I don't know. I'm just offering a different lens to the situation.
Fair enough.
I don't disagree that I don't think a personnel, unless you've got an absolute, consistent beast like a TJ Watt or a Garrett or whatever, which we're not going to get,
or a Micah Parsons,
then I don't think there's somebody that's going to make enough of an impact for us right now. Maybe I think you sort of your Dallas Turners or one of the others would made more of an impact than the guy sat on the bench, but it's not throwing the ball then. But otherwise, I still don't think they would have made much of a.
Wish we had that one more sack.
It might come down to that at the end of the season. Unlikely.
You are absolutely spot on. Yes, it may do, right? But I guess the thing is that I think the way we address the pass rush is by doing it more, not by
the way that we scheme it is obviously when I would have wanted a pass rusher in the draft, but this was a world before we actually got Judon. So when I saw we got Judon, I was that's a player that can play that role, and we've got a good free agent, and he's and I still think he's a good player, and he's clearly just not being used correctly. That's the only yes, people take a little time to adjust to schemes. Like maybe like Dino Hunt, obviously he's moved team. Chase Young's moved team. I don't know if that's a factor, but for me, I don't feel like that position doesn't seem too much about moving the team though, because they're asked to do a certain job, and their job pretty consistently similar at whichever team they're at.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to this kind of ethos of defense that we're running at the moment, which is this bend but don't break. This look, we're not gonna send loads of pressure, but actually we're gonna really try and limit explosive plays. What you do by doing that is that at least if you stop them and make them kick the field goal and we go down and score, then you're always going to win more games than you lose, right? So I think it's not great. I want to see more dynamic defense, but I don't know why they're not scheming it, but I just think the way to address the pass rush is to rush the passer. And we're just not doing that consistently.
I think we'd force some mistakes. We'd force some balls downfield, which is ideal for the likes of Jesse Bates and Simmons. That's what we want. They will snap onto a rushed pass from a quarterback if he's a few yards off because he's getting somebody's in his face. And he throws it, which quarterbacks out there, especially your younger quarterbacks, they'll throw it. We've got the perfect duo, and some other players back there who are waiting for that to happen. Jesse Bates will absolutely love it if some quarterbacks are throwing up some wild ones. Yeah.
And Danny, you laugh, right? But I know what it sounds like. What I'm saying is stupid, right? But we're not doing it enough. That's why.
No, I get you. It's just almost so simple. It sounds like it's out of a Dan Quinn playbook or something like that. I don't know. Just got to send it more. And at this minute in time, we're not, because I think I genuinely think it's because we're terrified to lose big plays.
Yeah.
So, that it's the coin flip, right? So you have to decide what you want to, like, how you want to address that. And for now, while we're winning games, it's really hard to go, we want you to blitz more, because we have seen it, especially in those earlier games where when we were sending pressure, our quarterback was just dunking it straight over the line. Those kind of, like, we've seen it with Olave quite a couple of times. Like they were just in the box. As soon as we send pressure, just dump it straight over, and then they'd make up 8 or 9 yards. And you kind of go, well, if that's the case, then don't, because I don't want to lose this again.
Yeah. Right, chaps. I think we should probably talk about the Seahawks game.
Yep.
I am just going to jump in the comments real fast, because it says, I'll see you at Village Burger in Atlanta. And we have had an invite via DM, so we might in fact see ATL Burger Guy at Village Burger in Atlanta. Amazing. Which is delightful. Seahawks 3-3.
Yeah.
Started the season pretty sharpish and have hit a little bit of a wall. A couple of tough losses. How do you see them in comparison to us at the moment in time? Obviously, you've got Geno Smith at quarterback, which is probably another one of those ones that people wouldn't have expected to be. Maybe not starting, but performing at the level that he started the season at. When you look at his passing yards,
leader, isn't he?
Top in the NFL in passing yards. He's playing ball. So how are we feeling about him?
Yeah, I mean, Gino's doing a good job, and they've got some threats. But I think when the preseason analysis was going on from most people, the Seahawks were down there in the sort of like bottom 6 or 7 worst teams in the league, predicted to be 6 or 7 worst teams in the league. He started off 3-0, which kind of surprised everybody a little bit, including myself. But ultimately, when you talk about strength of schedule, you don't know who's kind of is awful and who's good at that stage. People think they do, but technically you don't. The teams that they did beat were the Broncos. We've seen how they've been playing, not great. The Patriots, how they've been playing, not great. And the Dolphins, the Dolphins, they've not been good either.
No.
Like, obviously on paper that one looked fantastic, but ultimately we know what's going on there, and they're essentially having a down season because of loads of different things going on.
Yeah,
they're the 3 teams they beat. Got beat by the Lions. Obviously, that's a lot of teams will get beat by the Lions.
But then the Giants.
Then they got beat by Giants. I think they will have been targeting the Giants as a team that they probably would have hoped to beat preseason, and then they got beat by 49ers, who you would expect them to get beat by. That to me says they've beat some bad teams basically so far with a decent roster, but they're not a team they're not really even a 3-3 team. Probably they're a little bit lower down than that, I think, in terms of the way that they're playing. But Geno Smith is playing good, which is he's slinging the ball out, he's getting yards. And Kenneth Walker is a very good player, so
he's got a few weapons.
Yeah.
Geno Smith.
Go on.
Passing leader.
Yeah.
6 touchdowns.
Oh dear.
6 interceptions.
Oh yeah, he's slinging it. That's what he's doing.
Been sacked 19 times.
Jesus, and I bet we don't sack him once. But apart from that,
so I think you know where your Giants sack stats have come from.
Probably,
So, but let's not go back to that conversation. So I think you we've already seen DK on the sidelines with a headset on, moaning to his OC about throwing the ball, right?
Yeah.
So that to me immediately screams quite like just not very cohesive.
Yeah.
The danger that we've got is Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet, who have, I think, stat padded some of that that 3-0 stage. And I know Kenneth Walker's.
Give Tyler Lockett his props. He's had a few touchdowns.
Lockett's a very good player. He's always very good player.
But DK, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, like I mean, guys, we're talking about a pretty strong receiving core there. 4 touchdowns between the 3 of them.
Yeah. It is a Blake. I didn't know it was 6 touchdowns for 6 interceptions, to be fair. I knew he was a passing leader. So
man's the passing leader, and he's got 3, arguably 3 of the most the talented wide receiver 1 to 3.
Yeah.
They've got 4 touchdowns in 6 games.
Which emphasizes something is going wrong, because it's not that.
So I think you on the face of it, I see this as another banana skin game, if I'm honest. I think that 3-0 start kind of pushed them back into people's view of, oh, actually, the Seahawks may be a decent team. You've got a new head coach who was one of the. It was McDonald who interviewed for us, wasn't it? Went to the Seahawks. Liam?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I'd say I've not actually paid that much attention to them. I can't even think about who the even like some of the.
Yeah, no, you're right. I did double check that because we went blank, but yeah, Mike McDonald.
I think by the looks of things, Mike McDonald, defensive coach, right? I mean, they've already got so many sacks.
I imagine I think they've got. I presume because they've scored quite a few points. I presume they must have quite a high amount of rushing touchdowns. I would assume.
Rushing touchdowns we have.
I don't know how many, but I assume that's where the bulk of the points are coming from. Unless they've got an awesome kicker. 9. So they must be up there. I don't know who the top is, but they must be up there.
Kenneth Walker's got 5. I mean, I'm a fantasy owner.
He was missing for some of it, weren't he, as well?
He's only been back for 3 games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
And they're the 3 games they lost.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really unfortunate. So he's really stat padding.
I feel like it's a banana skin, right? I do feel like it's quite obvious that we can get pressure on Gino. I don't think Gino is to be underestimated. I actually think he's an okay little player. But I don't think he will be anywhere in the elite conversation. So I certainly think that with six touchdowns and 6 INTs and 9 rushing touchdowns, that tells you that I'm not quite sure his head coach trusts him to throw touchdowns, which might explain the reason that DK Metcalf's got the thing on going, why don't you throw me the ball?
Yeah.
So actually what we need to be really wary of going Sunday is ensuring that we stop the run, which unfortunately we've not been very good at. This year.
No, and we're coming up against a good duo. Kenneth Walker's like similar to a Tyler Algierian, and that must be an awful experience to try and stop him for a full game.
But gentlemen, there is hope.
We should beat them.
Enlighten us.
Why don't you guys take a guess with me how many interceptions their defense has had?
0.
6 games.
1, because you didn't say yes
Close.
to 0.
Close.
2.
Close.
Nice.
So I don't know. You want to try and beat this team somehow? Stop the run. And let's make explosive plays.
Yeah, I'm all good with that. And Kirk's looking fresher, so he's going to be all good with that, like we discussed earlier on.
I think this is a very, very winnable game, and I think if we come out of this going into the Bucks game, Bucks are obviously building up a head of steam. Had a wonderful game against the Saints yesterday. Very much enjoyed watching that back, apart from the fact that it was the Bucks. But you always like to see a bit of Saints misery, lads, don't you? Do you know what I mean?
Inject it.
I'll be honest with you, by the looks of things, they've got a couple of people out. I mean, I wouldn't say they're big, but Rick Woolen, I think he was one of their main cornerbacks. He's out. Byron Murphy, who they drafted this year, defensive tackle, he's out. One of their offensive tackles is out. So, lads, I'll be honest with you. I think we could have a real go at this lot.
I was just having a look at some key stats. I would say the main thing that people say is a big game winning or lose thing is the turnover differential. Like Mark's point, they've got the 3rd worst turnover differential in the league at -6. So I would imagine that their sort of coach's reasoning for losing games right now is that they turn over the ball and they don't turn over the ball the other way. So that's our way of winning is win the turnover battle. Which if we do that, I think we should win, shouldn't we?
Just an addition in the comments, and it's bang on. 2 minutes ago, it was announced that they've just picked up Robertson Harris from the Jags, defensive tackle. Not that I'm saying it should affect the game, but it's a nice bit of live news from Matt there.
Yeah, I'm not.
Exactly the same.
I hadn't heard of him, just in case it was anything to worry about.
Yeah, to be completely honest, when you look at them as a 3-3 team, winning your first 3, losing your next 3, we're a 4-2 team. If we want any chance of a playoff run this year, you've got to beat teams like that. It really is as simple as that. You've got to beat teams that aren't as good as you. And if you get beat by them, then you don't deserve to be there either. So I think we've more than got the facilities for it. And we've just got to keep showing that desire that we have been showing in the last handful of weeks, that even when we've not been great, we've found a little bit of grit and managed to
go 5-2 this week is so important when you've got a Bucks team that will be high on confidence the week after.
Yeah.
Because don't get me wrong, I think we can beat the Bucks again, but keeping that lead in the division, we spoke about it a million times. The divisional games will get us to the playoffs as long as we can keep them as close as possible. Having the Bucks on our tails is a problem.
The only thing I'd say, and not that it comes down to that game as such, but the Bucks' next 3 games are the Ravens, ourselves, and then the Chiefs, which are
beautiful,
which is arguably a harder run than our next 3. Not that it matters, we've still got to do the business, but you'd rather than be competing week in, week out than bulldozering people like ultimately they did against the Saints, apart from the second quarter for whatever bonkers.
That was so wild, man. That was so wild. That was it. Okay. I mean, I just, should we have wanted the Ains to win? So that's in the comments.
From
I'm not being funny. I want to see playoff football this year, so I did want them to win because I wanted to get a little bit of.
You need the tactical wins
between the two teams. And then suddenly the Saints woke up in the second quarter and then went back to sleep in the second half. So it was, again, you can take it because I like Saints misery. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, based on that, is everybody confident of a win? Are we feeling a win?
I'm confident of a win because I know you boys are going to be there.
Thank you very much. That is what we were hoping for.
I'm gonna put your last seeing them live down to the jinx of my moustache that I shaved in for Arthur Smith. I think that's what really scuppered our luck on that day. But when you're in the Bends, I guarantee you guys are going to be the lucky charm to bring home that dub.
There we go. I would hope so. I am touching all of the wood dining table, but I am touching all of the wood. That is 2 tonight.
One thing I will say is I need more videos of Liam dancing in public places.
Can be arranged.
See, I've not outed him yet. I've kept them in our group chat for the game, like the moment where it feels right, like a nice little victory Monday, and just Liam.
No. What you need to do is you save that for when we get to the playoffs, and then you can say playoff football got me feeling like, and then post that video then.
I can assure you. That is not the only content of me dancing that's out there.
I don't know whether to laugh or be concerned.
Yeah. I'm intrigued. I'm borderline excited, Daniel.
Oh dear.
I've got a point to talk about on any other business.
Yep, hit me.
I've got a small one as well. Nothing to do with a point, that is.
Come on, boys! I stopped myself from swearing. Can't be getting cancelled over that. I would just like to personally thank the Denver Broncos for losing me £650 yesterday, as I predicted every result on my bet. Spot on. The whole every single game on yesterday, predicted it all. So Denver Broncos, I hope that you all repeatedly stub your toes every day for the rest of your lives.
That is sickening though, because on paper, they should have had that.
George has got no wide receiver. I was like, how did that happen? Like,
I have no idea.
So frustrating. But yeah, so that was my any other business. Denver Broncos.
Bet responsibly when the fun stops.
Sean Payton, one day you are going to burn in the seventh circle of hell for many reasons, and one of them. Liam, what was your any other business?
Mine was just a random thing that I saw that I thought was interesting during the Panthers game. You might have already seen it, but do you know who made 2 of the tackles for the Panthers during the game? 2 of their tackles?
No, but
Felipe Franks on special teams.
Yes!
That is the utility man. He is the knife.
He's now a special teams tight end. That's where he's at, and supposedly he's doing a great job.
Listen, man's got to earn that bag. Like,
I was gonna say though, you've got to respect the grind of the versatility, and in just being like, I'm physical. I'll just play wherever.
I remember watching him play for the Gate as a quarterback. Like,
he's so funny. He's so long. I had another funny story about him as well that I read. I can't remember where I read it, but I don't know which interview it was for, but he was 20-30 minutes late for an official media interview.
Yeah. Because
he was too busy playing ping pong, because in his words, winner stays on, and he kept winning.
Game is the game is the game. The sport does not matter.
Winning matters. Winner stays on. 30 minutes late for an interview.
It's true. And that means he must have been absolutely fantastic at ping pong.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Winning.
Must have been peppering everyone. Oh dear. That's
I have one item of other business as well. I think I sent it to you boys earlier on. The only rookie QB of this year's draft class to not throw an INT this season is Michael Penix Jr.
Thank you very much. We knew we drafted the right one.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
Clean as a whistle.
6 games in, not a single interception.
No.
Your quarterback could never. Could never. A lovely one.
Where did JJ McCarthy throw his from?
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
I saw that meme and I was like, yes, that's sick.
I was generally thinking maybe he played the first game. I can't remember, but
no, I don't know. I don't think
he didn't. Did he? He didn't make it. He didn't make it, did he? To the first game? I don't think so. Did he?
Unless he threw one in pre-season. Does that count?
Does he? Oh, maybe
it was pre-season as well, and Penix threw none in over him. Maybe.
I'm about to go through a rabbit hole on Google. Yeah.
Oh dear. Right, chaps. I think that is almost the night. It would be very, very blasé of me not to mention on our final show before we head out to Atlanta. We are coming over. I know, I'm very sorry, Mark. Mark, unfortunately, is living the rock and roll lifestyle.
Yes,
and therefore cannot join us on this occasion. But this is not a one-time trip. We will be coming out this weekend, and we will be heading back as often as we can. Mark's band are going to headline in Atlanta in the Super Bowl 26 or 28 or whenever it is. Let's go. But yeah, myself, Liam, Cal, and a handful of others head out. Wayne, who is watching, see you at Heathrow, mate. We'll be heading out on Friday evening and landing at Friday night in Atlanta. We'll be at the Georgia Tech game. We'll be at the Falcons game, doing a bit of a stadium tour and some general sightseeing and stuff. So if you are watching and you live in ATL, drop us a DM, tell us where you're going to be, tell us where to drink, tell us where to eat and all that jazz, because we know nothing. And our tour guide, Mark, who knows more about Atlanta than most of us, is unfortunately not going. So we are stuck. But we cannot wait to head out. It's going to be great to see you all. And
you're flying on Thursday?
Friday.
Okay.
Because we're up here, we're traveling down to London on Thursday evening.
Okay.
Just because we didn't want to gamble missing the missing the flight on Friday. It's a bit of a way down to you, isn't it? Yeah. So thank you very much. I'm Von. I hope you've enjoyed the podcast. We have. Authentic is the word. We are not very good with scripts, as you can tell, and I'm the worst of all for that. But thank you all for watching. We will see you next week. Mark, tell them where they can get stuff.
You can watch this back on all social media platforms. If you're like me and you like listening to podcasts while you're in the car, driving, doing work, whatever, you can find this on Apple Music, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure. We will catch you all next week. See you in Atlanta.